Chapter 60. The next day, with the glory token, Li Fuchen arrived at the Zhanglan inner sect for the first time. The atmosphere of the inner sect was vastly different from the outer sect. Even though the competition in the outer sect was intense, everyone was at the Qi realm and it wasn't that intense. But the inner sect disciples were all at the origin realm. Once they revolved their Qi, their bodies would be enveloped in a colorful Qi. The horrifying Qi presence was like that of a demon, which could be felt from far away. Inner sect martial hall, glory token, not bad. From what I see, you don't have to choose. There is only one technique that suits you, and that is the Mystic class, mid-tier Scarlet Flame Mystic technique. 50,000 contribution points. The inner sect elder had a good attitude towards Li Fuchen. Elder, I would like to choose another body refinement technique. Li Fuchen replied. The inner sect elder's eyes lit up. What body refinement technique did you cultivate in the outer sect? Is it at the completion rank? Crimson battle form is at the completion rank. Good. The inner sect elder was full of praise. Even though you only have a normal bone frame, don't underestimate yourself. A normal bone frame may be able to cultivate to the heaven realm. As long as you have enough opportunities, anything is possible. The inner sect elders were all heaven realm martial artists, but the inner sect martial arts elder was only a one-star bone frame. Hence, he admired those with lower bone frames but higher perception. Entering the martial hall, Li Fuchen began to choose his body refinement techniques. First up was a low-tier, mystic class body refinement technique. A regular low-tier, mystic class martial arts only cost 10,000 contribution points. But low-tier, mystic class body refinement techniques cost at least 20,000 contribution points. Celestial Cloud Battle Form, at the completion rank, gives a physical strength of 7,000 kilograms. Worth 20,000 contribution points. Iron Dipper Form, at the completion rank, gives a physical strength of 7,500 kilograms. Worth 22,000 contribution points. Rhino King Bone, at the completion rank, gives a physical strength of 8,000 kilograms. Worth 25,000 contribution points. After looking through a dozen of low-tier, mystic class body refinement technique manuals, Li Fuchen wasn't satisfied. His Crimson Battle Form at the completion rank already had a physical strength of 5,000 kilograms. It wasn't any weaker than a low-tier, mystic class body refinement technique. Thinking about it, Li Fuchen came to the profound level middle rank body refining cultivation technique secret bookshelf. Copper Dipper Body. When trained to perfection, one will have a physical strength of 6,000 pounds, worth 62,000 contribution points. The Tiger Crane Flying Cloud Force, when cultivated to perfection, will allow one to have a physical strength of 13,000 gene, worth 65,000 contribution points. Crouching Wave Fist. When trained to perfection, one will have a physical strength of 13,500 pounds, worth 68,000 contribution points. Interception Form Dao, when cultivated to perfection, will allow one to possess a physical strength of 15,000 gene, worth 75,000 contribution points. Seeing the mystic class mid-tier body refinement technique, Li Fuchen's eyes lit up. A mystic class body tempering technique was different from a peak-tier yellow class body tempering technique. A peak-tier yellow class body tempering technique purely focused on training the skin, flesh, and bones, tempering the body. Profound level body refining techniques contain the mysteries of the body. For example, the Tiger Crane Soaring Force could not only greatly increase one's physical strength, but it could also allow one to cultivate the strength of a ferocious tiger and the agility of a crane. Another example would be the Crouching Wave Fist. It might sound like a fist art, but it was actually a body refinement technique that used fist arts to move the body. Once cultivated to perfection, one could easily neutralize the force of an opponent's attack. As for the Interception Form Dao, it was the most profound. It was a quiet technique. Relying on the intent to change the body, there was basically no need to train the body. Of course, body tempering pills still had to be consumed. I shall choose this then. Li Fuchen liked challenges that were difficult. It would be a waste of his perception. 50,000 contribution points for the Scarlet Flame Mystic technique. 75,000 contribution points for the interception form Dao. Li Fuchen's contribution points were reduced by 125,000, leaving him with 14,500 points. Leaving the inner sect region, Li Fuchen returned to his courtyard. The Scarlet Flame Mystic Technique is indeed the advanced version of the Scarlet Fire Technique. The Scarlet Flame Mystic Technique had a total of 15 ranks. Cultivating the Scarlet Fire Technique to the highest rank, 9th rank, was equivalent to cultivating the Scarlet Flame Mystic Technique to the 7th rank. To a large extent, it saved Li Fuchen a lot of cultivation time. If not, he would have to start from scratch. Slightly understanding the intent of the Scarlet Flame Mystic Technique. Like a hot knife through butter, Li Fuchen converted the Scarlet Fire Technique to the Scarlet Flame Mystic Technique in a single day. Even though the 7th rank Scarlet Flame Mystic Technique's firepower was about the same as the 9th rank Scarlet Fire Technique, but the efficiency was much higher. With the same amount of qi, the Scarlet Flame Mystic Technique could last longer and recover qi at a faster rate. As for the interception form Dao, it was the same as the Crimson Battle form, separated into 3 ranks. First rank completion, 5,000 kilograms of physical strength. Second rank completion, 10,000 kilograms of physical strength. Third rank completion, 15,000 kilograms of physical strength. Even though Li Fuchen had 5,000 kilograms of physical strength, it didn't mean he could immediately cultivate the interception form Dao to the completion rank of the first rank. The interception form Dao focused on intent and not form. Physical strength was one aspect, but the intent of the body was another. Just like the Crimson Battle form, 5,000 kilograms of physical strength was one aspect, but the Crimson Battle form represented defense. Sitting cross-legged on the ground, Li Fuchen used his intent to visualize himself doing different movements, imagining his qi and blood circulating intensely. Gradually, sweat appeared on Li Fuchen's forehead. His skin turned red and his veins popped out. This was a sign of intense movement. Interesting. Li Fuchen's willpower was firm and his intent was condensed. Hence, the first rank of the interception form Dao wasn't too difficult for him. With a punch, Li Fuchen realized his punches were much faster and had a concentrated force. The majority of body refinement techniques didn't cultivate the body's strength, but the power of speed. With the completion rank of the Crimson Battle form, Li Fuchen's absolute speed was already very fast. Now that the interception form Dao was at the first rank, his absolute speed went up another notch. On this day, Guan Shui once again arrived at the Tower of Tribulations. Her previous score was 198. This time, she officially entered the top 100 with a score of 98. Li Fuchen's appearance made Guan Shui feel a sense of danger and unease. A person she didn't care about in the past was now enjoying the limelight in the outer sect. His results in the Tower of Tribulations exceeded hers by a huge margin. This made her feel indignant. Even though Li Fuchen was just a normal bone frame and couldn't be compared to her in the future, but as a 4-star extraordinary bone frame, she wouldn't allow herself to be surpassed by anyone. The sense of danger and unease ignited Guan Shui's fighting spirit. In just a month's time, Guan Shui finally completed the 7-star forged body. Her physical strength reached 3,000 kilograms and her cultivation broke through from the 8th level of the Qi realm to the 9th level. Give me a few more months and I will surpass him. Guan Shui had a 4-star water bone frame, which allowed her to cultivate the white wave technique with half the effort. Chapter 61. Junior Sister Zhu, do you mind if I sit here? On the 3rd floor of the cafeteria, a tall and handsome young man with fair skin sat opposite Zhu Hongxiu with a plate in his hands. Zhu Hongxiu's brows furrowed imperceptibly. She smiled faintly and said, "Senior brother Qin, Hongxiu naturally doesn't mind." The handsome youth on the other side was called Qin Xiaoyu, one of the outer sect's top 10 prodigies, ranked 42nd in the Tower of Trials. He did not know when it started, but the other party intentionally or unintentionally created opportunities for them to run into each other. To be honest, during the initial stages of martial arts, Zhu Hongxiu did not have any plans to consider relationships. At the very least, she would only consider such things when she reached the Disha realm. Therefore, she had hinted to Qin Xiaoyu that she did not have such intentions. However, he always had a smile on his face and never said that he wanted to pursue her, leaving her at her wits' end. Junior sister Zhu Sure is hardworking. I haven't seen you for a while and you've already reached the peak of the 7th level Qi realm. I'm afraid it won't be long before you reach the 8th level Qi realm. Qin Xiaoyu raised his head and looked at Zhu Hongxiu. She had an oval face, rosy lips, a straight nose, and thin and straight eyebrows. She was charming and heroic at the same time. The one who strikes first has the advantage, and the one who strikes later will suffer a calamity. I, Qin Xiaoyu, have never failed to get the woman I want. Junior sister Zhu, you will definitely be my woman, Qin Xiaoyu thought to himself. Zhu Hongxiu said indifferently, Senior apprentice brother Qin is overpraising me. The corner of Qin Xiaoyu's mouth twitched as a hint of anger flashed across his eyes. How many times had it been? Every time he said a bunch of things, the other party would dismiss him with a few words. As one of the 10 prodigies of the outer sect, when had he ever suffered like this? Just at this moment, 2 female outer sect disciples walked past. When they saw Qin Xiaoyu, their eyes lit up, and they called out, Senior brother Qin, enthusiastically. Although Qin Xiaoyu looked down on these 2 female outer sect disciples, the feeling of being worshipped was wonderful. Pretending to be reserved, he sneaked a glance at Zhu Hongxiu. In his opinion, Zhu Hongxiu might be tempted to see how popular he was. After all, which woman did not want their man to be a great hero, a peerless genius? He had a 4-star bone frame and his potential was so high that there weren't more than 10 disciples in the outer sect that could match up to him. This kind of bone structure was enough to make most of the female outer sect disciples go crazy. Unfortunately, Qin Xiaoyu was disappointed. Zhu Hongxiu's expression was indifferent, as if she didn't see this scene. When Li Fuchen arrived at the 3rd floor of the cafeteria, the sky was already dark. After getting his meal, Li Fuchen glanced around to see if there were any seats. Sweeping his gaze to the east, Li Fuchen saw Zhu Hongxiu and Qin Xiaoyu who was opposite her. Li Fuchen smiled and wasn't surprised. The outer sect disciples were all above the age of 14 or 15. This was the age where youth was budding. Shifting his gaze, Li Fuchen found a spot. Li Fuchen. A clear and melodious voice suddenly sounded. The one who stopped him was none other than Zhu Hongxiu. Zhu Hongxiu's eyes were filled with a trace of apology and anticipation. She was really annoyed by Qin Xiaoyu's pestering, but she couldn't offend him too much. The only one who could help her now was Li Fuchen. Ranked 60th in the Tower of Tribulations, Li Fuchen's ability shouldn't be inferior to Qin Xiaoyu. Of course, if Li Fuchen wasn't willing to offend Qin Xiaoyu, she wouldn't blame him either. After all, Qin Xiaoyu was one of the outer sect's 10 prodigies and had great potential. Regular inner sect disciples wouldn't dare to offend him. Li Fuchen walked over. Zhu Hongxiu, long time no see. Li Fuchen, let me introduce you. This is one of the outer sect's 10 prodigies, Qin Xiaoyu. Finishing her introduction, Zhu Hongxiu moved to the right and gave Li Fuchen a seat. Li Fuchen was quick-witted. How could he not know that the relationship between the two wasn't what he thought it was? Zhu Hongxiu called him over, probably to use him as a shield. Had it been anyone else, Li Fuchen wouldn't have been used as a shield. But he had a good impression of Zhu Hongxiu. It wouldn't hurt to be a shield once. Putting down the tray, Li Fuchen sat down. Qin Xiaoyu's expression was extremely ugly. His lips were even trembling. In front of him, Zhu Hongxiu asked him to sit on the side with her, while he sat on the opposite side. Her intention was self-evident. Zhu Shimi, this is your friend. He doesn't seem like much, just a normal bone frame. Sooner or later, he will be eliminated. Right now, he is just the radiance before the sunset. Li Fuchen laughed and ignored Qin Xiaoyu. Facing Zhu Hongxiu, he said, looking at your Qi presence, I reckon you aren't far from breaking through to the 8th level of the Qi realm. Congratulations. Zhu Hongxiu was dumbfounded. She didn't expect Li Fuchen to be so ruthless. It was beyond her expectations. But Li Fuchen's domineering attitude of not putting Qin Xiaoyu in his eyes made her admire him. How can we be compared to you? It hasn't even been a year and you have already left us in the dust. Even Guanshui has been surpassed by you. I bet everyone in Yunwu City is dumbfounded. Zhu Hongxiu laughed. Li Fuchen shook his head and didn't say anything. Qin Xiaoyu tried his best to suppress his anger, but it couldn't be suppressed no matter what. Too infuriating. Standing up, Qin Xiaoyu said to Li Fuchen, "You come out with me for a while." Li Fuchen replied indifferently, "If you have anything to say, wait till I am free." "Can't you see I am eating? I will say it one more time. Come out with me." Qin Xiaoyu increased his volume. He didn't care about his demeanor anymore. In this world, demeanor is important, but the fist is more important. As long as your fist is strong enough, everything will revolve around you. This Li Fuchen didn't know what was good for him. He will let him know what it means to humiliate yourself. Are you a housefly? Impatient. Li Fuchen put down his chopsticks, his eyes turning cold. Kiki, seems like I, Qin Xiaoyu, am too benevolent. Whether you go out or not is not up to you. Suddenly, Qin Xiaoyu reached out with his right hand and grabbed Li Fuchen's shoulder. But, with lightning speed, Li Fuchen slapped away Qin Xiaoyu's right hand. With a sinister expression, Qin Xiaoyu clenched his left fist and threw a punch at Li Fuchen's face. But this fist was easily caught by Li Fuchen. Li Fuchen intended to teach his opponent a lesson. Exerting strength in his fingers, a violent qi and physical strength was infused into his palm. Qin Xiaoyu's expression was normal at first, but soon enough, his face flushed red. Li Fuchen's palm was like a steel pincer. Not only did it have immense strength, it also contained a terrifying heat. Clang. With the qi clashing, the plates on the dining table bounced up and the soup spilled all over the table. Crunch crunch. Qin Xiaoyu could almost hear his bones groaning in pain. His opponent's strength was too strong, simply unreasonable. His opponent's qi wasn't any inferior to his, and with the addition of that heat, it was extremely painful. With a burst of qi, Qin Xiaoyu forcefully shook off Li Fuchen's palm. Gritting his teeth, he said, "Li Fuchen, very well. I will not haggle with you today, but you will regret it in the future." Chapter 62. Li Fuchen, is it okay to do this? Zhu Hongxiu was shocked by Li Fuchen's ability, but she was more concerned if Li Fuchen was acting on impulse. If he acted on impulse, the situation would be difficult to clean up in the future. If it was intentional, it meant that Li Fuchen knew what he was doing and it wasn't an impulsive decision. Li Fuchen said, "Isn't this what you want? He probably won't bother you anymore." "I'm worried about you. Qin Xiaoyu is a vengeful person. He definitely won't let this matter rest," Zhu Hongxiu said. Li Fuchen said, "Don't worry, I am already covered in lice. I'm not afraid of a few more. No matter what, it's my fault for dragging you into this." Zhu Hongxiu apologized. "No one can force me to do something I don't want to do. You don't have to blame yourself." Although the other party had used him as a shield, if he hadn't gone over, none of this would have happened. This was his own choice. Moreover, he did not take Qin Xiaoyu seriously. After dinner, the two went their separate ways and returned to their own courtyards. The interception form Dao was harder to cultivate than Li Fuchen imagined. After spending 3 days, Li Fuchen finally cultivated the first rank of the interception form Dao to the completion rank. The first rank of the interception form Dao didn't increase Li Fuchen's physical strength, but it increased Li Fuchen's reaction and mobility by a lot. The next day, Li Fuchen arrived at the resource hall, intending to redeem some yellow-class, high-tier body-tempering pills to complement his interception form Dao cultivation. Body-tempering pills were more expensive. A mid-tier yellow-class body-tempering pill was worth 250 contribution points each. High-tier yellow-grade Dragon Tiger pill was worth 1,500 contribution points each. Li Fuchen redeemed 6 Dragon Tiger pills. On the way back, Li Fuchen bumped into Gao Changtian. As one of the 10 heavens favorites of the outer sect, Gao Changtian was not as arrogant as the other heavens favorites. "Li Fuchen, during this period of time, did Fang Laihai look for you?" Gao Changtian asked. Li Fuchen shook his head, "Thanks for the previous time." With his previous strength, It was unlikely that he would be able to suppress Fong Lihai, and he might even suffer a little. This man is stubborn and self-opinionated. I'm afraid he won't let us off easily. Of course, I, Gao Changtian, am not afraid of anyone. Gao Changtian looked at Li Fuchen, even though Li Fuchen's perception was heaven-defying, but he had yet to reach their level. Li Fuchen said, "During this period of time, I have also improved. It is fine if he doesn't come. Now that he is here, I would like to meet him." Gao Changtian's brows twitched. His intuition told him that Li Fuchen wasn't someone who spoke without thinking. Since he dared to say such words, he must have some confidence. Seems like Fong Lihai offended someone he shouldn't have. But don't be too careless. We, the Outer Sect's 10 prodigies, have special privileges. We can exchange for a mystic class martial art manual in advance. Fong Lihai has the Vajra bone frame, and a few months ago, he exchanged for the Iron Dipper form body refinement technique. He didn't look for you during this period of time, probably because he plans to cultivate the Iron Dipper form to a certain level before settling the score with us. Hearing this, Li Fuchen was rather surprised. He thought that the Outer Sect's 10 prodigies was just a title. He didn't expect there to be special privileges. Come to think of it, first-grade Outer Sect disciples had special privileges, so did Outer Sect geniuses. As for the Iron Dipper form, he had read about it in the Inner Sect Martial Arts Hall. This body refinement technique, at the completion stage, would allow the user to have 7,500 kilograms of physical strength and a steel-like body. The toughness of the body would far surpass the Crimson Battle form. But Li Fuchen didn't think that Fong Lihai could reach the completion stage of the Iron Dipper form in just a few months. A Mystic class body refinement technique wasn't something a peak-tier, yellow class body refinement technique could compare to. It was extremely difficult to cultivate. Why didn't he exchange for an advanced technique? Fong Lihai's entry technique was the Iron Shell technique, and the advanced technique was the Vajra Mystic technique. Gao Changtian laughed bitterly. The advanced technique is a Mystic class, mid-tier technique. It is extremely difficult to cultivate. What's more, the Outer Sect competition is about to begin in half a year's time. When the time comes, the Outer Sect disciples can exchange for a Mystic class martial art manual. It wouldn't be too late to exchange for an advanced technique then. Li Fuchen nodded. Indeed, to exchange for an advanced technique now, in half a year's time, it would be hard to advance one rank. It is a known fact that the higher the grade of the technique, the higher the requirement for the martial artist's cultivation. Even though a prodigy could break the rules, but not limitlessly. For example, if you were given an Earth class technique, would you be able to cultivate it? You probably wouldn't even understand it. Li Fuchen's perception was extremely high, but even he felt that cultivating the Scarlet Mystic Flame technique was extremely difficult. It wasn't because of his perception, but because his qi wasn't strong enough. As for the Outer Sect competition, Li Fuchen had long heard of it. Every 3 years, the Outer Sect would hold an Outer Sect disciple competition to select the top 10 Outer Sect disciples. According to the rankings, first place would receive 100,000 contribution points, second and third place would receive 80,000, fourth and fifth place would receive 60,000, and 6th to 10th place would receive 30,000 contribution points. To an Outer Sect disciple, this was an opportunity to earn a large amount of contribution points. Fong Lihai gave up on redeeming an advanced technique and chose the Iron Dipper form. He probably wanted to increase his ability before the Outer Sect competition, so that he could amaze the world with a single brilliant feat. As Gao Changtian spoke, he suddenly got excited and stared blankly at a small path not too far away. Li Fuchen followed the gaze of the other party. On the small path, a young man and woman were walking side by side. The youth was 1.8 meters in height, his long black hair was bound by a golden crown. His face was like a jade crown, with a smile on his face that gave off an indescribable sense of nobility. Even Shanghai City's young city lord, Fong Lihai, couldn't compare to the youth with the golden crown. Beside the youth with the golden crown was a young lady with a face like a painting, skin as white as snow, long black hair like a waterfall, glossy and glossy. She was actually a beauty that wasn't inferior to Guan Shui. Gao Shixiang, who are these two? Li Fuchen asked. Shang Guanhong and Wu Qingmei. Gao Changtian sighed and his expression turned gloomy. Shang Guanhong, Wu Qingmei? Li Fuchen suddenly understood. Shang Guanhong and Wu Qingmei were both part of the outer sect's 10 prodigies. Shang Guanhong was ranked second in the Tower of Tribulations, just below Yuan Tian. Wu Qingmei was ranked 15th in the Tower of Tribulations and was also one of the outer sect's 4 beauties. In the outer sect, other than the outer sect's 10 prodigies, there was also the 4 beauties. They were Wu Qingmei, Guan Shui, Zhu Hongxiu, and a female disciple named Zhao Mingyue. The 4 beauties had countless suitors. Wu Qingmei and Shang Guanhong had a rather close relationship, but no one dared to go against Shang Guanhong. As for the other 3, no one had been able to get close to them. Among them, Guan Shui and Zhao Mingyue were the most popular, because they were also part of the outer sect's 10 prodigies. Zhu Hongxiu was slightly inferior, but she also attracted the pursuit of prodigies like Qin Xiaoyu. Gao Shixiang, do you like Wu Qingmei? Li Fuchen asked. Gao Changtian laughed awkwardly and didn't deny it. Li Fuchen looked at Shang Guanhong and Wu Qingmei. I don't think they are a couple. Gao Shixiang still has a chance. Gao Changgan shook his head. A gentleman doesn't snatch what others like. Hearing this, Li Fuchen shook his head in his heart. Gao Changtian was a righteous person, but he was rather pedantic. Chapter 63. Gao Chang, what a coincidence! Shang Guanhong also saw Gao Changtian and greeted him. Shang Guanxiong Wu Shimi. Gao Changtian cupped his fist, displaying a very courteous expression. Shang Guanhong smiled at Wu Qingmei. Wu Shimi, did you see? In the outer sect, no one is more genteel than Gao Changtian. He sure is adorable. Wu Qingmei giggled. This giggle was enough to stun both Shang Guanhong and Gao Changtian. As the saying goes, a glance and a smile can charm 100 people. Withdrawing his gaze, Shang Guanhong noticed Gao Changtian's expression and felt dissatisfied. He changed the topic. Gao Chang, I wonder who this is? To be able to walk with you, Gao Changtian, he shouldn't be a normal person. Gao Changtian introduced. This shitty is the recently trending Li Fuchen. Li Fuchen, I have heard of this name before. You are not bad to let me hear your name. Shang Guanhong said. Li Fuchen laughed and didn't say anything. Wu Qingmei asked, I wonder what is the relationship between Li Shidi and Guan Shui Shimi. I heard that both of you are from Yunwu City. Li Fuchen replied, we aren't related, we are just from the same city. Oh, that might not be the case. I heard from an odd job disciple that you and Guan Shui had an engagement. I wonder if it is true? Wu Qingmei asked. Li Fuchen replied, that is all in the past. He guessed that the one who leaked this information was Shentu Liang, who wanted to use this incident to attack him. After all, there were too many people in the outer sect that liked Guan Shui. You sure are lucky to have an engagement with Guan Shui. But it is not enough to just have luck without potential. The path of the martial Dao is long and arduous. If you can't support each other, what qualifications do you have to be together? Shang Guanhong had always been pursuing bone frame. In his eyes, only 4-star bone frames could speak on equal terms with him. Those below 4-star bone frames were all ants. Gao Changtian spoke for Li Fuchen. Li Shidi isn't a normal person. I think he has quite the potential. Kiki, Gao Changtian, you sure like to be a good person. Shang Guanhong sneered. Wu Qingmei asked, Junior Li, are you really just a normal bone frame? Do you have any secrets? She didn't believe that a normal bone frame could improve so quickly in just a year. She was quick-witted and determined that Li Fuchen had secrets. Li Fuchen didn't look at the trio. He looked up at the sky and said, it doesn't matter if I have potential. As long as I am strong enough and improve quickly enough, it will be fine. Seems like you are a rather optimistic person. I hope you can break through to the origin realm before the age of 20. This hurdle is a huge hurdle for normal bone frames. As she spoke, Shang Guanhong turned to Wu Qingmei and said, Junior Wu, let's go. If he stayed with Li Fuchen any longer, he would feel disgusted. Junior apprentice brother Li, don't mind him. This Shangguan Hong's character is a bit arrogant. Gao Changtian consoled. Li Fuchen shook his head and laughed. Why would I care about what others think? Of the outer sect's top 10 prodigies, other than Gao Changtian, each was more arrogant than the other. Actually, Gao Changtian had his own pride, it was just that he didn't know it. As for Li Fuchen, he had his own pride and disdain to lower himself to the same level as these people. After separating from Gao Changtian, Li Fuchen immediately returned to his yard. He wanted to try out the effects of the Dragon Tiger pill. Consuming a Dragon Tiger pill, Li Fuchen sat in the yard, his body intent constantly performing some intense movements. In just a short moment, Li Fuchen's body was steaming and his veins were popping out. No wonder it is a Dragon Tiger pill. At this stage, its effects exceed 6 body-tempering pills. After cultivating the Crimson Battle form to completion, Li Fuchen tried consuming a few body-tempering pills. But the effects were negligible and were basically useless. But now that he consumed the Dragon Tiger pill, it felt like he was back to when he first cultivated the Crimson Battle form and consumed the body-tempering pills. After consuming 6 Dragon Tiger pills, Li Fuchen's interception form Dao finally broke through to the 2nd rank. His physical strength also broke through to 5,000 kilograms. Earning sect contribution points is like a never-ending road. Even though he felt helpless, Li Fuchen still got up and headed to the ore mountain. He wanted to try his luck and see if he could find any high-grade ores. This time, Li Fuchen didn't go to Qingchang Mountain, but to Tonglu Mountain instead. Before Tonglu Mountain was abandoned, it produced low-tier, yellow-class ores, bronze ores. Among the bronze ores, there would occasionally be mid-tier, yellow-class ores, green copper ores, and high-tier, red copper ores. Just like Qingchang Mountain, Tonglu Mountain was massive. It was like a maze, filled with valleys and mines. Every time he found a piece of bronze ore, Li Fuchen would carefully search the surroundings. Occasionally, he would use his hand to press on the ground or the mountain walls to permeate his qi and awareness. A pity he didn't find anything. Huang Shaoshan, hurry up and hand over the red copper ore, or else you will regret it. Dream on. You want the red copper ore? Step over my body. You think I don't dare? On this day, in front of an ore cave, 2 outer sect disciples were having a brawl. Not far from the 2 of them was a piece of red copper ore the size of a wash basin. Red copper ore was worth 30 points per kg, and there was at least 100 kg here. You guys continue. Li Fuchen's eyes lit up when he saw this scene. If red copper ore could be found in the ore caves, then there might be more that have yet to be discovered, or within the mountains. Swish. Li Fuchen skimmed into the ore cave. The 2 outer sect disciples broke out in cold sweat. They knew who Li Fuchen was, and if Li Fuchen wanted to steal their red copper ore, they wouldn't be able to do anything. The ore cave was deep and gloomy. The outside world was slowly getting further and further away from Li Fuchen. Searching for ores was like searching for a needle in a haystack. Li Fuchen raised his torch and slowly searched. Every time he found a clue, he would immediately permeate his qi and awareness into the ore walls. After his soul-spirit metamorphosis, he could release his awareness for a longer period of time. Initially it was 15 minutes, but now it was 15 minutes. Every time it took a few breaths, he could release it multiple times a day. On the 3rd day, Li Fuchen finally found something. Deep within the ore walls, he found a green copper ore the size of a skull. Too small, it isn't worth digging. A few dozen kg of green copper ore was only worth a few hundred contribution points. Li Fuchen used to care about it, but now he didn't. On the 10th day, Li Fuchen finally found a large piece of red copper ore. This piece of red copper ore was a few meters deep within the ore walls. With his awareness, it was about the size of a water tank. With the density of the red copper ore, this piece of red copper ore was at least 3,000 kilograms. But this was worth 100,000 contribution points. Without any hesitation, Li Fuchen poured his scarlet fire qi into the iron shovel and began to excavate the red copper ore. 1 hour later, Li Fuchen dug out the red copper ore that was the size of a water tank. 3,800 kilograms, the margin of error is less than 10 kilograms. Chapter 64. Using a special rope to tie up the red copper ore, Li Fuchen carried it and walked out of the ore cave. Seeing the sun again, Li Fuchen was not used to it. After a while, he found the right direction and prepared to leave Tonglu Mountain. Isn't that person Li Fuchen? What kind of ore is behind him? It's so big. On top of a small hill, a figure stood there. Like a leopard cat, the figure quickly went down the mountain and blocked Li Fuchen's path. Li Fuchen, show me the ores on your back. The youth was about 18 or 19 years old and was tall and burly. His arms were thicker than a normal person's thighs. Li Fuchen stopped. Who are you? I am Cui Tai. If you know what's good for you, hand over the ores. No matter what kind of ore was wrapped in the cloth, it was worth a lot of contribution points. Cui Tai. Li Fuchen thought for a moment and quickly found out who Cui Tai was. Cui Tai was the leader of the 7 experts under Fong Lihai. He was ranked 48th in the Tower of Tribulations, and it was rumored that his bone frame was the same as Fong Lihai, a Vajra bone frame. However, Fong Lihai was a 4-star Vajra bone frame while Cui Tai was a 3-star Vajra bone frame. You aren't worthy. If it is your master, he might be qualified to make a move against me. Li Fuchen said coldly. Arrogant. You think you are worthy of fighting against senior brother Fong? I, Cui Tai, can deal with you. Cui Tai was like a raging bull as he shot towards Li Fuchen. Bang. Their fists collided, and Cui Tai was forced to take 7 or 8 steps back, his fist dripping with blood. Li Fuchen didn't even take a step back. Cui Tai was in so much pain that he inhaled a breath of cold air. He felt as though the bones in his fist were shattered. He lifted his head in disbelief and stared at Li Fuchen in a daze. Li Fuchen was ranked 60 in the Tower of Tribulations while he was ranked 48. Logically speaking, it was impossible for the other party to be his match. With a 3-star Vajra bone frame, he was naturally suited to cultivate body refinement techniques. Moreover, he had indeed cultivated both Iron Skin and Golden Bell Shield to the perfected realm. The Iron Mantle and the Golden Bell Shield complemented each other. If one were to train in one of them alone, he would at most have a strength of over 2,000 pounds. If the two were to be cultivated together, he would be able to achieve a strength of 3,500 gene. Apart from that, when the Golden Bell Canopy and Iron Mantle were combined, the defense was extremely strong. It wasn't an exaggeration to say that the skin was made of copper and the bones of iron, but it was actually broken by a single punch from Li Fuchen. Could he be cultivating the Crimson Battle form? A thought flashed through Cui Tai's mind. Amongst the outer sect disciples, Yuan Tian was the undisputed number 1. Even Fong Lihai had to restrain his arrogance when facing Yuan Tian, not daring to show the slightest bit of arrogance. As for Yuan Tian, he was the only one among the 30,000 outer sect disciples who had mastered the Crimson Battle form to perfection and had a strength of 2,500 pounds. 1 year ago, among the top 10 rankers of the Trial Tower, 2 of them had joined hands to fight Yuan Tian. However, they were easily suppressed by Yuan Tian. When their attacks landed on Yuan Tian, they could only cause him some superficial wounds. His astonishing defense left everyone dumbfounded. A year had passed, and it was said that Yuan Tian had already mastered the Tiger Crane Flying Cloud Force. His strength had broken through the limit of 5,000 gene, but no one knew how much he had actually achieved. It must be the Crimson Battle form. Otherwise, none of the yellow-class peak-tier body tempering techniques would be able to break through my Golden Bell Canopy and Iron Mantle. Cui Tai roared in his heart. Rumble. Throwing the red copper ore behind him, Li Fuchen walked towards Cui Tai step by step. You threw a punch just now it's my turn. Hearing this, Cui Tai drew his steel sword without any hesitation. Yes, not a wooden sword, but a steel sword. To deal with someone who cultivated the Crimson Battle form, a steel sword was required. If not, a wooden sword would only be able to break the skin. Li Fuchen, in a fight between martial artists, it isn't about who has the strongest defense. With a flick of his wrist, Cui Tai used a sword move from the Raging Wave sword style to attack Li Fuchen. Too slow. With a sway of his body, Li Fuchen easily dodged Cui Tai's sword move and landed a punch on Cui Tai's chest. Spitting out a mouthful of fresh blood, Cui Tai felt that at least 2 of his ribs were broken. How could he have known that after cultivating the interception form Dao, Li Fuchen's speed and reflexes didn't increase by much? Turning around, Li Fuchen prepared to carry the red copper ore and leave. Li Fuchen, you beat up my men and you are going to leave just like that? Aren't you looking down on me, Fong Lihai? A voice echoed from a nearby ore cave. Soon enough, Fong Lihai walked out from the ore cave. Originally, Fong Lihai and Cui Tai came to Mt Tonglu to look for ores, but separated for a few days. Fong Lihai. Li Fuchen put down the red copper ore, his eyes filled with battle intent. Ever since he had a chat with Gao Changtian, he knew he underestimated Fong Lihai. Fong Lihai cultivated the golden bell canopy, iron-clothed shirt, and even cultivated the iron dipper form. His ability was unfathomable. It wasn't wrong to treat him as Cui Tai's evolved form. Sweeping a glance at Cui Tai, Fong Lihai frowned. His opponent's injuries were more severe than he imagined. To be able to break Cui Tai's golden bell canopy and iron-clothed shirt, I have underestimated you. A pity, no one is here to help you this time. Had it not been for Gao Changtian, Li Fuchen would have been bedridden for a few weeks. Li Fuchen said, Li Fuchen, do not need anyone's help. Fong Lihai, make your move. I know you cultivate the iron dipper form. Let me see what stage your iron dipper form is at. What? You know I cultivate the iron dipper form? Fong Lihai's pupils shrank. That's right, it should be Gao Changtian who told you. But all this is meaningless now. You broke 2 of Cui Tai's ribs, I will break 4 of yours. Fong Lihai walked towards Li Fuchen step by step. Li Fuchen smiled and walked towards Fong Lihai as well. The 2 of them walked faster and faster until they finally collided. In a split second, the 2 fists collided. Fong Lihai's fist had traces of gold and black. It didn't look like it was made of flesh and blood, but more like it was forged from steel. On the outside of the fist, there was a layer of pale black qi that was surging with qi. Li Fuchen's fist had a glossy and tough skin, with a hint of scarlet red. It still looked like a fist made of flesh, but it was no longer a human's. The skin was as tough as a demonic beast's skin. On the outside of the fist, there was a layer of pale red blazing qi. When the 2 fists collided, a valiant qi burst out and formed a sphere that engulfed the both of them. Immediately after, the ground beneath their feet trembled. In the next moment, a massive force sent the both of them flying. Crimson battle form, completion rank. Fong Lihai was enraged. His qi was stronger than Li Fuchen, but his fist wasn't as hard as Li Fuchen's, neither was his physical strength. One must know that after practicing the iron dipper body, his physical strength had reached over 2,000 kilograms. Strong indeed. Li Fuchen didn't know before exchanging blows. But after exchanging blows, he realized that he still underestimated Fong Lihai. He can actually fight evenly with Fong Shixiang? The severely injured Cui Tai was flabbergasted. No one knew Fong Lihai's ability better than him. Chapter 65. I don't believe it. Watch as I break your crimson battle form. Fong Lihai stomped on the ground and shot towards Li Fuchen like an arrow. Li Fuchen had the intention to break Fong Lihai's golden bell canopy, steel-clothed shirt, and iron dipper form. He didn't retreat nor give way. Concentrating a powerful force on his right fist, he tore through the air and punched. Dong. The deep sound was like thunder, causing one's heart to palpitate. Dong 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 dong. Next, the 2 of them disregarded defense and went all out on offense. As one of the 10 prodigies, Fong Lihai's combat ability was exceptional. Be it his reaction speed or attack speed, they were all top-notch. But Li Fuchen's combat ability was even more insane. His reaction speed and attack speed were obviously above Fong Lihai's. Out of 10 punches from Fong Lihai, only 2 would hit Li Fuchen. And out of 10 punches from Li Fuchen, at least 3 would hit Fong Lihai. As time dragged on, Fong Lihai found it hard to endure. His defense was strong, but it wasn't at the stage where he could ignore attacks. Normally, a punch with 10,000 kilograms of force would cause his blood to boil. But if he was hit too many times, his blood would definitely dissipate. Torrential storm hit. Taking a deep breath, Fong Lihai executed a peak tier, yellow class fist art, torrential storm fist style. The dense fist shadows were like a storm, dense and unstoppable. In an instant, Li Fuchen suffered 3 to 4 punches. But with the increase of fist shadows, the force was dispersed. Each fist shadow only had the strength of 7,000 to 8,000 kilograms, which wasn't even enough to push Li Fuchen back. But Li Fuchen didn't have any intention of dodging. He directly struck at Fong Lihai's chest. This palm was the mountain-splitting palm. The mountain-splitting palm was only a mid-tier, yellow-class palm art. But do not underestimate the power of the mountain-splitting palm. After cultivating the mountain-splitting palm to the trance realm, the mountain-splitting palm had already broken away from its original limitations. With a single palm strike, the force resonated and injured Fong Lihai's lungs. Spitting out a mouthful of fresh blood, Fong Lihai was shocked. Desperately trying to increase the distance between them, Fong Lihai drew his steel sword. Against others, Fong Lihai wouldn't use his real sword. If he made a mistake, he might kill his foe. According to the Zhanglan sect's rules, murderers must pay with their lives. Even prodigies were no exception. But against Li Fuchen, it was different. No matter what, the steel sword wouldn't be able to kill him in a single slash, it would at most injure him. Li Fuchen wasn't arrogant and drew his steel sword as well. Ding ding dang dang. Sparks flew as the two swords clashed. Fong Lihai's sword art was a peak-tier yellow-class sword art, the Raging Wave sword art. Fong Lihai, who had already trained the Raging Wave sword art to the Great Completion realm, was like a raging wave, layer upon layer, the sword energy surging, it was invulnerable. Li Fuchen didn't execute the Red Jade sword style or the Scarlet Fire sword style. Instead, he executed the Xiao Shang sword style. The Little Shang sword technique's movements were large and bold, the power of the sword was majestic, every sword strike had an earth-shattering power. As Li Fuchen cultivated the Xiao Shang sword style to the trance stage, the might of the Xiao Shang sword style reached the next level. In terms of pure power, even the Scarlet Jade sword art could not compare to it, only the Scarlet Fire sword art could. Gathering his chi, Li Fuchen cleaved at Fong Lihai with the mountain river split. The battle between the two was like a needle against an awl, it was extremely thrilling. Li Fuchen's combat ability was slightly more outstanding and his attack speed was slightly faster. But Fong Lihai wasn't a mediocre person. With a 4-star Vajra bone frame, he was at the peak in all aspects. In such a short period of time, it wouldn't be easy for Li Fuchen to defeat his opponent. Raging waves. After a long battle, Fong Lihai got anxious and executed the strongest move of the Raging Waves sword style. Even the moist energy in the air was attracted over to amplify the sword style's prowess. Clear breeze sword. Once a person was anxious, they would lose their sense of propriety and reveal a slight flaw. Li Fuchen changed his sword stance and executed the final move of the Clear Breeze sword style. This sword was too fast, so fast that Fong Lihai couldn't even see it. He only felt the clear breeze and couldn't see the sword. Fong Lihai's left shoulder went numb, as though he was bitten by a venomous bug. The Raging Wave sword style ended without a trace. Fong Lihai lowered his head to take a look. Only now did his left shoulder start to bleed. Due to his golden bell canopy, steel-clothed shirt, and the even stronger iron dipper form, the bleeding stopped quickly. "Are you trying to tickle me?" Fong Lihai roared and used another Raging Wave sword style move at Li Fuchen. Li Fuchen sighed. The Clear Breeze sword style was fast, but it was lacking in firepower. Against someone who didn't have a strong defense, it was enough to deal a fatal blow. But against Fong Lihai, it only scratched his skin. But the Xiao Shang sword style was big and wide, which meant that it could only go head-on against Fong Lihai and couldn't hit his opponent with tricks. "Since that is the case, receive this blade of mine." Li Fuchen thrusted with his steel sword and instantly accelerated, as though he entered into another world. The next moment, sparks flew. Li Fuchen's sword grazed past Fong Lihai's sword and pierced deeply into his right shoulder. Clang. Fang Liahai's steel sword flew out of his right hand and smashed onto the rocky ground. Red Jade Sword Style's ultimate move, Death of the Red Jade. This move pushed the burst power to the limit. With a second acceleration, it was enough to penetrate the opponent's defenses. Fang Liahai, you should be glad that I am also an outer sect disciple of the Zhanglan sect. If I was your enemy, you would be dead by now. Carrying the red copper ore, Li Fuchen spoke coldly. Fang Liahai still couldn't believe that he lost to Li Fuchen. Lost to a normal bone frame. The arrogant and domineering Fang Liahai couldn't accept this fact. He was one of the 10 prodigies of the outer sect, a genius that only appears once in a century in Shanghai City. His father and family had high hopes for him. This is impossible. Fang Liahai stood there motionless. Glancing at Fang Liahai, Li Fuchen turned and left, gradually getting further away. After a long while, Fang Liahai finally regained his senses. Looking at Li Fuchen's departing figure, he growled, "Li Fuchen, this isn't over yet. At the outer sect tournament, I will definitely defeat you." Back at the Zhanglan sect's mission hall, the red copper ore that Li Fuchen carried back brought him 114,000 contribution points. The mission elder was already used to it and didn't want to provoke Li Fuchen anymore. For such a person, even if he had a normal bone frame, his future achievements would definitely surpass the mission elder. Outer sect elders weren't like inner sect elders, they were all at the Earth realm. With over 100,000 contribution points, Li Fuchen was once again wealthy. He redeemed 60 Dragon Tiger elixirs and spent 90,000 contribution points. Days passed by. The news of Li Fuchen defeating Fang Liahai didn't spread out. In the entire outer sect, only the 3 of them knew of this incident. Li Fuchen couldn't possibly flaunt it. Fang Liahai couldn't possibly expose his own scars. Cui Tai was Fang Liahai's right-hand man and wouldn't publicize this incident. After all, he lost to Li Fuchen too. Chapter 66. 3,000 Gene. 7,000 Gene. 8,000 Gene. 60 Dragon Tiger pills forcefully increased Li Fuchen's physical strength from 5,000 kg to 8,000 kilograms. It wasn't an exaggeration to say that even without Qi, Li Fuchen's physical strength was enough to crush any outer sect disciple that wasn't in the top 500. As for regular 9th level Qi realm martial artists, Li Fuchen killed them instantly. Of course, while Li Fuchen was progressing, everyone was progressing as well. In the Tower of Tribulations, Guan Shui's ranking finally surpassed Li Fuchen and reached an astonishing rank of 16. That's right, Guan Shui had shot up from 98 to 16. After being in the Azure Water sect for a year and a half, she had reached the pinnacle in all aspects. He was at the 9th level of the Qi realm. The White Wave incantation had reached the highest realm, the 9th level. After cultivating the 7-star body forging to perfection, one would have the strength of 3,000 kilograms. At the same time, she'd also redeemed a low-grade profound rank body refinement technique, the Skycloud Battle Physique. At this point, the outer sect's top 10 prodigies had all entered the top 20 of the Tower of Trials. Guan Shui was the youngest, only 15 years old. But among the outer sect's 10 prodigies, the oldest was only 17 years old. Most of them were 16. There were only 2 months left until the outer sect competition. There was a huge change in the Tower of Trials rankings. The first place was still Yuan Tian, but the time had changed from 15 to 10. The second was Shang Guanhong, 15 scales. 5th, Zhao Mingyue, 18 scales. The 8th highest Sky, 20 scales. 9th, Fang Liahai, 20 scales. The 12th, Wu Qingmei, 22nd scale. The 16th Pass of Snow, 24 scales. 18th, Qin Xiaoyu, 25 scales. As for Li Fuchen, he dropped from 60th to 68th. Ever since the last time he challenged the Tower of Trials, he had never come here again. He didn't care much about the Tower of Trials ranking, but others didn't think so. A normal bone frame is still a normal bone frame. It is far inferior to a prodigy. Heaven's prodigies are able to grow at high speed while ordinary bone frames can only rely on perception. Perception is something that is too illusory and not too reliable. There is still 2 more months before the Outer Sect Disciple Tournament. From what I see, Li Fuchen's ranking will continue to drop. In the Outer Sect Disciple Zone, everyone was discussing fervently. In the middle of the courtyard, Li Fuchen was facing a human-sized boulder. The boulder seemed to have experienced the passage of time. Its edges and corners had long been worn flat. Occasionally, when the wind blew, there would be dust flying. A few meters away, Zhu Hongxiu watched without blinking. She, who possessed the 3-star blazing flame bone frame, finally passed the first floor of the Tower of Tribulations a few months ago and became a first-grade Outer Sect disciple. It just so happened that there was an empty courtyard beside Li Fuchen's, so she moved over. Facing the giant boulder, Li Fuchen punched again and again at the giant boulder. The cold fist wind was like a bone-scraping steel knife, scraping off layers of powder on the giant boulder. When the wind blew, the powder filled the sky. The release of qi was something only Earth Realm martial artists could do. Those below the Earth Realm might not be able to release their qi externally, but it was still easy for them to create fist wind. Even an ordinary person who had never practiced martial arts would be able to create a gust of wind with a single punch. However, most people's punches did not carry any killing power, even mortal realm warriors. But Li Fuchen's physical strength was too overwhelming. His cultivation had advanced from the 8th level of the Qi realm to the 9th level. With his Qi and physical strength complementing each other, the fist wind carried lethal power. Don't even mention a normal person who didn't have the means to cultivate. Even a low-leveled mortal realm martial artist would die on the spot if he got hit by the fist wind. If they knew your current ability, they wouldn't be talking about you like that. Zhu Hongxiu praised. Withdrawing his fist, Li Fuchen shook off the dust on his body. What I pursue is the pinnacle of the martial Dao, not their flattery. This world is very realistic. If your fist is hard enough, whatever you say will be the truth. If your fist isn't hard enough, everything is just an illusion and can be destroyed at any moment. Rather than wasting time on fighting for fame and fortune, why not work hard to strengthen yourself? His father was the patriarch of the Li clan, but he was dismissed just like that and demoted to a branch family. Because the Li clan's strongest expert was the founder, not his father. If his father was the Li clan's strongest expert, no one would dare to defy him. Which is why it was useless to say more. One's own ability would never change. As for other things, they could change at will. No wonder you can reach this stage. In terms of temperament, I have never seen anyone more determined than you. Zhu Hongxiu had to admit that Li Fuchen gave her a good impression, but she didn't know if it was because she liked him. Of course, at this stage, she couldn't be thinking about relationships, as the Zhu clan still needed her to carry the burden. Has Qin Xiaoyu been bothering you for the past few months? Li Fuchen asked. Zhu Hongxiu shook her head. Nope, but I have a premonition that he will be coming to find trouble with you soon. Qin Xiaoyu and Guan Shui both fought their way into the top 20 of the Tower of Tribulations. Under such circumstances, it was easy to get overconfident. What's more, Li Fuchen was too low profile. So low profile that everyone thought he was out of ideas. Li Fuchen laughed. If he dares to come, I will give him an unforgettable memory. Li Fuchen, get your ass out here. Just as Li Fuchen finished his sentence, a thunderous voice came from outside the courtyard. Who else could it be but Qin Xiaoyu? Outside the courtyard, Qin Xiaoyu's expression was cold and murderous. Qin Xiaoyu could allow himself to fail, but he would never allow himself to fail in front of a woman. The last time Li Fuchen humiliated him in front of Zhu Hongxiu, he had always kept this grudge in his heart. Now, he wanted Li Fuchen to return it tenfold. What a coincidence! Li Fuchen raised his brows. Zhu Hongxiu frowned. Li Fuchen, be careful. Even though she knew Li Fuchen's ability was exceptional, but she didn't know anything about Qin Xiaoyu's background and couldn't help but worry. It's nothing. Li Fuchen walked forward and opened the courtyard door. As the courtyard door opened, Li Fuchen appeared in front of Qin Xiaoyu's eyes. But soon enough, Zhu Hongxiu appeared too, which made him burn with anger. He thought Zhu Hongxiu was already together with Li Fuchen. If not, Why would she come to his courtyard in broad daylight? Good, very good. Zhu Hongxiu, you slut. I thought you were pure and innocent. Who would have thought you were just a little slut? Qin Xiaoyu gritted his teeth. Hearing this, Zhu Hongxiu's face turned ashen and her almond eyes were spitting fire. Li Fuchen coldly said, "Watch your words." Li Fuchen, today I want you to lick my shoe. The more Qin Xiaoyu thought about it, the angrier he got. The woman he chased for so long ended up with someone else without a word. As a self-proclaimed romantic, he couldn't wait to kill the both of them. Qin Xiaoyu's voice was too loud. Unknowingly, a circle of first-grade outer sect disciples surrounded them. This Li Fuchen sure knows how to stir up trouble. Wasn't it enough to provoke Fang Laihai? Now he provoked Qin Xiaoyu. Qin Xiaoyu is ranked 18 in the Tower of Tribulations. Li Fuchen is out of luck. It isn't as simple as being out of luck. Didn't you hear? Qin Xiaoyu's female disciple, Zhu Hongxiu, seems to have been snatched away by Li Fuchen. Damn, snatching a prodigy's woman. No wonder Qin Xiaoyu is so angry. If it was me, I would kill them. Chapter 67. There were more and more onlookers, and everyone started talking at once. However, most of them sided with Qin Xiaoyu. First-grade outer sect disciples were basically all 3-star bone frames or even 4-star bone frames. They had always looked down on those below the 3-star bone frame. Li Fuchen, who was a normal bone frame, was naturally a target that they looked down on. However, Li Fuchen's progress was too terrifying. Even if they looked down on him, they didn't dare to provoke Li Fuchen. Now that they knew that Li Fuchen stole Qin Xiaoyu's woman, they were all filled with righteous indignation, as though they were the ones who had their women stolen. Especially since Zhu Hongxiu was one of the 4 beauties of the outer sect. She had countless admirers. If she were to walk together with Qin Xiaoyu, they wouldn't say anything. A beauty paired with a prodigy, it was only natural. What they couldn't understand was why Zhu Hongxiu chose Li Fuchen. Was it just because of Li Fuchen's valiant performance? Did she not value potential? It was like seeing a beautiful woman in the arms of an ugly man on the street. His heart ached. Junior sister Guan Shui, this fiancé of yours is truly a troublemaker. If he was a 3-star bone frame, no, even a 2-star bone frame, how good would it be? On a small path not far away, 3 graceful female disciples stood side by side. The peerlessly beautiful female disciple in the middle was Guan Shui. On her left was a tall female disciple with phoenix eyes, and on her right was a petite female disciple who was shorter than 2 people by half a head. The female disciple with phoenix eyes was called Tong Yueming. She shook her head and said to Guan Shui. Guan Shui didn't like Tong Yueming's joke. Senior sister Tong, I've already told you that I have nothing to do with him. This joke isn't funny at all. Senior Tong, why are you so concerned about Li Fuchen? Could it be? The delicate female disciple called Guan Xiaoye giggled. Tong Yueming raged. You little girl, how dare you tease your senior sister Tong? Sweeping a stern glance at Qin Xiaoyu, Li Fuchen walked out of the courtyard and said slowly, "One fist." What did you say? The 9th level of the Purple Qi manual circulated to its limit. Qin Xiaoyu's body emitted an incomparably domineering aura. Even his eyes were purple. After enduring for a few months, the current him was no longer the same as before. So he didn't understand the meaning of Li Fuchen's fist? 1 punch to decide the outcome? Or defeat him with 1 punch? Either way, he could not bear it. I only need 1 punch to deal with you. 5 steps away from Qin Xiaoyu, Li Fuchen stopped. Clenching his right fist, a pale red qi was produced, like a blazing flame. Arrogant. It wasn't just Qin Xiaoyu, everyone else felt that Li Fuchen was too arrogant. Who does he think he is? Defeating Qin Xiaoyu in 1 punch? Even Fang Laihai and Gao Changtian might not be able to do that. Of the outer sect's 10 prodigies, there are no more than 4 who can do this. I finally know why he's so good at stirring up trouble. He's simply too arrogant. He doesn't even care about the geniuses. Just you wait. Qin Xiaoyu will humiliate him. The indignant crowd couldn't wait to see Qin Xiaoyu defeat Li Fuchen. You don't have absolute strength, Yet you dare to speak with such an absolute tone. There's nothing else to see. Let's go. Guan Shui frowned. Tong Yueming said, "What's the rush? There might really be a miracle, it won't take much time anyway." "Yeah, senior sister Guan Shui, let's wait and see." Guan Xiaoya was also very curious. How can a miracle happen so easily? You two are too naive. Even though she said so, Guan Shui still stayed behind. Unforgivable. Li Fuchen, just because of those words, I will break 3 of your ribs. Qi and blood surged from the 7 acupoints within his body. Qin Xiaoyu's qi presence increased once again, just like a demon god. With a flash of his body, he turned into a blurry shadow that skimmed towards Li Fuchen. In the blink of an eye, a purple fist was thrown out. 9th rank purple qi technique. Completion rank of 7-star forged body. Peak tier, yellow class fist art, purple qi from the east. The combination of these 3 skills resulted in Qin Xiaoyu's 18th rank in the Tower of Tribulations. Li Fuchen's hair was blown backwards, as though a whirlwind was blowing. Just as the fist was about to hit Li Fuchen's chest, Li Fuchen punched. It was impossible to describe the speed of this punch. Wrapped in light red true qi, his fist punched out in a simple manner. Due to the extreme speed, even the air seemed to tremble for a moment. But it was actually the distortion of the air caused by the fist. Just as Qin Xiaoyu's fist was 3 inches away from Li Fuchen's chest, Li Fuchen's fist arrived first and landed on Qin Xiaoyu's chest. Spurting fresh blood, Qin Xiaoyu flew backwards in fear. 3 crisp sounds could be heard from within his chest. It was obviously the sound of 3 ribs being broken. Ironic. He said he wanted to break 3 of Li Fuchen's ribs, but Li Fuchen broke 3 of his ribs instead. There was nothing more ironic than this. The extreme contrast almost caused him to collapse. He screamed in his heart, why was this happening? Why was Li Fuchen so strong? Why did he always lose face in front of Zhu Hongxiu? Why was the result of his hard work like this? How is this possible? The spectators were flabbergasted and couldn't believe their eyes. He really defeated Qin Xiaoyu in a single punch, without any suspense. Could this all be a dream, an illusion? Does this even make sense? To defeat a prodigy in a single punch, does he want to break the definition of a prodigy? Devil, he must be a devil. Everyone had the same reaction as Qin Xiaoyu. They couldn't accept this fact and felt their worldview crumbling. The moment Li Fuchen executed his punch, Guan Shui's heart trembled. She had never imagined that something like this would actually happen. Defeating Qin Xiaoyu in a single punch meant he could defeat her in a single punch too. Why was this happening? Guan Shui's worldview was crumbling too. Tong Yueming and Guan Xiaoya opened their red lips and couldn't speak for a long time. I feel that I am starting to like him. After a while, Tong Yueming muttered, Too domineering. Too domineering. This was her ideal partner. At this moment in her mind, Li Fuchen's figure overlapped with Yuan Tian's figure. Equally domineering. Similarly, he was shockingly talented. The only difference was that one was a 5-star bone frame, while the other was a normal bone frame. As for Guan Xiaoya, she let out a kitten-like soft moan. She couldn't control her vocal cords at all. Sweeping a glance at the crowd, Li Fuchen acted as though he did something insignificant. He turned back to the courtyard and closed the door. Outside the courtyard, everyone looked at each other in dismay. Their faces were filled with bitter smiles and shock. They had a faint premonition that 2 months later at the Outer Sect Disciple Tournament, there would be an earth-shattering event. Li Fuchen might become a taboo existence like Yuan Tian. A different taboo existence. Chapter 68. The news of Li Fuchen severely injuring Qin Xiaoyu in a single punch was like a wildfire on the plains, spreading without restraint. Wherever the news spread, it was followed by the gasps of the crowd. They originally thought that prodigies improved at a fast pace and that Li Fuchen was already at his wit's end. Who would have thought that Li Fuchen's improvement was even faster? To be able to severely injure Qin Xiaoyu in a single punch, his ability was at least in the top 10 of the Tower of Tribulations. Li Fuchen didn't care about any of the commotion in the outside world. Whenever he was free, he would go fishing for treasure fish at Songlan Lake. In the past few months, after purchasing 60 dragon tiger pills, he was left with 29,500 contribution points. During the process of cultivating the interception form Dao, due to his frequent trips to Songlan Lake, his contribution points once again reached a staggering 90,000. But after redeeming the second batch of 60 dragon tiger pills, Li Fuchen's contribution points were instantly emptied. So for the next 2 months, he decided to spend his time at Songlan Lake, cultivating and fishing at the same time. 8,500 kilograms, 9,500 kilograms, 9,500 kilograms, 10,000 kilograms. With only a week left until the Outer Sect Disciple Tournament, Li Fuchen finally cultivated the interception form Dao to the completion stage of the second rank. His physical strength reached the 10,000 kilograms class. Originally, with just 60 dragon tiger pills, it was impossible to cultivate the interception form Dao to the completion stage. And Li Fuchen didn't have any more contribution points to redeem dragon tiger pills. Fortunately, Songlan Lake had nothing but treasure fish. For the past few days, Li Fuchen would eat a few first-tier or second-tier treasure fish every few days. A level 1 treasure fish was worth 100 contribution points per gene. 10 gene would be worth 1,000 contribution points. Eating one was already comparable to a dragon tiger pill. A second-tier treasure fish was worth 1,000 points per kg. Eating one was equivalent to a few dragon tiger pills. As his physical strength reached 10,000 kilograms, Li Fuchen's body weight soared to 60 kilograms. Every inch of his body was unimaginably tough. But at 175 m, he didn't look too muscular. He still had that lean appearance. With a quick glance, he would at most weigh around 130 kilograms, giving off a tough vibe. Body refinement techniques aren't something anyone can cultivate. This body of strength, if converted into gold coins, would be at least 600,000 gold coins. Li Fuchen lamented. From a few hundred kg of physical strength to 10,000 kilograms, Li Fuchen consumed a total of 500 body tempering pills, 120 dragon tiger pills, and a number of treasure fishes. If converted into contribution points, it would be 300,000 plus, or 600,000 plus gold coins. In fact, 600,000 was a fair price. In the outside world, rare elixirs like the body tempering elixir were easily fought over. Therefore, it was not an exaggeration to say that raising a martial artist with the strength of 10,000 gene was enough to bankrupt a clan. Even the Li clan would suffer a great loss and suffer a great loss. And this was only the strength of 10,000 gene. If it was 20,000 gene, 50,000 gene, or 100,000 gene, who knew how many resources it would consume? Most importantly, as his power increased, ordinary resources were no longer of any use. Right now, Li Fuchen needed the high-tier, yellow-class body tempering pill, Dragon Tiger Pill. Once the interception form Dao reached the completion rank, he would probably need peak-tier, yellow-class body tempering pills. A peak-tier yellow-class body tempering pill was worth 10,000 contribution points, which was about 20,000 gold coins. Just thinking about it gave Li Fuchen a headache. I wonder what the highest grade of elixir in the sect is. Even though the path of body refinement was difficult, out of 10,000 people, perhaps only one could persevere till the end. But Li Fuchen wouldn't give up on this path. He believed that with his own ability, he would definitely be able to obtain sufficient resources. And with sufficient resources, the path of body refinement would continue to progress. Due to eating too many first-tier and second-tier treasure fishes, Li Fuchen didn't reap much in these 2 months. When he arrived at the mission hall, all the treasure fishes added up to only 4,000 contribution points, which was better than nothing. This was the first time the mission elders saw Li Fuchen reaping so little rewards. He felt much better and thought to himself, so this kid has times of failure too. On the way back to his courtyard, Li Fuchen saw a shocking scene. Wu Qingmei, who was closer to Shangguan Hong, was actually walking together with a youth with a tiger's back. If he didn't guess wrongly, this youth should be the Outer Sect's top 10 prodigies, Tower of Tribulation's rank 1, Yuan Tian. The Outer Sect's only 5-star bone frame. This Wu Qingmei isn't simple, Li Fuchen thought to himself. He couldn't be bothered with other people's matters. Withdrawing his gaze, he prepared to leave. Unexpectedly, Yuan Tian saw Li Fuchen and called out to him, "Li Fuchen, wait up." "What's the matter?" Li Fuchen asked. Yuan Tian replied, "My name is Yuan Tian. You should know my name. How about it? Are you interested in becoming my follower? Don't worry, I won't take advantage of you. It's purely because I admire you." Li Fuchen replied with a question, "I am just a normal bone frame, I shouldn't have any value to you." Yuan Tian laughed. "Potential is important, but the current situation is just as important. Placing your hopes on potential, in my opinion, is just a cowardly act. To be able to burst out with prodigy class ability, it proves that you aren't a normal person. I am glad to hear your evaluation of me, but I will not be anyone's follower." Li Fuchen shook his head. Wu Qingmei, who was beside Yuan Tian, advised, "Li Fuchen, you better reconsider. Yuan Shixiang is a 5-star bone frame. If he were to redeem anything in the sect, he would get a 30% discount. If you were to become his follower, there would be plenty of benefits in the future." In the Tsanglan sect, the hierarchy was extremely strict. Outer sect disciples were separated into 3rd grade, 2nd grade, and 1st grade. Above the 1st grade were the prodigies. Prodigies may be 1st grade outer sect disciples, but when they redeemed anything in the sect, they were all at half price. As the leader of the prodigies and the only 5-star bone frame, Yuan Tian only required a 30% discount. Li Fuchen was naturally envious. But he couldn't become anyone's follower, hence he rejected Yuan Tian. Looking at Li Fuchen's departing back, Wu Qingmei said, "He sure doesn't know what's good for him." Yuan Tian didn't mind. "It doesn't matter. I am just curious about him and want to understand him better." As a king amongst the outer sect disciples, he didn't put anyone in his eyes, which was why he wouldn't get angry. From afar, a figure hurriedly ran over. "Wu Shimi, now that you have changed your mind, I will forgive you." The person who came was Shang Guanhong with a mournful expression. Wu Qingmei's expression turned cold. "Shang Guan Shixiang, I have never liked you. What do you mean by changing my mind?" "Wu Shimi, don't lie to me. If you don't like me, why did you get so close to me in the first place?" Shang Guanhong shook his head with a face of heartache. Wu Qingmei replied, "I only treated you as a friend. Please don't overthink it." "Wu Shimi, you sure are heartless. Didn't you abandon me because he is stronger than me?" Shang Guanhong pointed at Yuan Tian. Yuan Tian replied indifferently, "Shang Guanhong, clinging on to others is a foolish action. Since Wu Shimi said she doesn't like you, you better give up. Yuan Tian, just you wait. One day, I will defeat you." Shang Guanhong took a look at Yuan Tian and Wu Qingmei before leaving in anger. Chapter 69. A week passed in the blink of an eye and the outer sect competition began. The outer sect competition was split into 2 parts. The first part was the challenge competition, and the second part was the ranking competition. All outer sect disciples above the 8th level of the Qi realm would enter the 100 Beasts forest together. Only the first 20 disciples to pass through the forest would have the chance to participate in the actual outer sect disciple ranking competition. On the empty ground in front of the 100 Beasts forest, more than 10,000 outer sect disciples gathered together. In front of them, the outer sect Grand Elder Xiao Changfeng had his back facing the 100 Beasts forest as he shouted, "In the 100 Beasts forest, other than killing, there are no other rules. Only the first 20 people to pass through the 100 Beasts forest will have the right to compete in the ranking competition. The rest will be eliminated. Also, I have to remind you that the 100 Beasts forest is very big. The sect has bred over 100 types of Class 1 demonic beasts. Some of the demonic beasts have even mutated and become extremely powerful. Therefore, among you, there might be some who can't walk out of the 100 Beasts forest alive." He was actually just scaring the crowd. Just in case, other than the 10,000 plus outer sect disciples, dozens of outer sect elders and thousands of outer sect deacons would also be entering. Of course, in every outer sect disciple tournament, deaths were very common. After all, accidents were bound to happen, and the sect could only try their best to reduce these accidents. Within the crowd, there were 5 individuals from Yunwu City. They were Li Fuchen, Guan Shui, Zhu Hongxiu, Yang Kai, and Shen Tuju. Li Fuchen and Guan Shui were at the 9th level of the Qi realm. Zhu Hongxiu, Kai Yang, and Shen Tuju were all at the 8th level of the Qi realm. Among them, Zhu Hongxiu was at the mid-8 Qi realm, Yang Kai was at the peak 8 Qi realm, and Shen Tuju was at the early 8 Qi realm. Sneaking glances at Li Fuchen, Yang Kai, and Shen Tuju had complicated and gloomy expressions. In Yunwu City, they were the pride of the heavens. They got whatever they wanted. Even the leaders of the smaller forces had to be polite to them. But when they came to the Azure Water sect, they were nothing. When they first arrived, because they weren't used to the sect's atmosphere, they were beaten up a few times for putting on airs. But compared to them, Li Fuchen, who was just a normal bone frame, was doing well in the outer sect. Not only did he not get beaten up, he went around beating people up instead. There was no lack of geniuses among them. This made them shocked and jealous. All right, everyone enter the 100 Beasts Forest. Outer Sect Great Elder Xiao Changfeng waved his hand and shouted. Hearing this, the 10,000-plus Outer Sect disciples were like countless little fishes, entering the 100 Beasts Forest in a single line. Elder Xiao, it seems like there are quite a few good seedlings in this year's Outer Sect Disciple competition. The Outer Sect Elder at the side turned his head and said to Xiao Changfeng. Xiao Changfeng nodded. Based on this old man's many years of experience, this year's Outer Sect Disciple competition is catching up to the previous one. 2 years ago, Sword Maniac's generation? An Outer Sect Elder was shocked. Sword Maniac's batch could be said to be a gathering of heroes. Not only was there Sword Maniac, but there was also Sword Tiger and Emotionless Sword. The 3 of them were now direct disciples, and their cultivation had reached the Disher realm. There was a saying in the sect that Sword Maniac's batch was the strongest batch in the past century. Elder Xiao said, this year's top 10 geniuses, Yuan Tian, is comparable to Sword Tiger from back then. Shang Guanhong is slightly weaker than Heartless Sword. In addition, there are 10 geniuses this year, while there were only 8 geniuses the year before that. Therefore, they are still slightly comparable. That's true. All the Outer Sect elders nodded their heads. Within the 100 Beasts Forest, it was gloomy and gloomy, with demonic qi pervading the air. Over 10,000 Outer Sect disciples entered the forest, but like a clay ox entering the sea, there wasn't any commotion. On the treetops, on the canopy, or in the bushes, one could vaguely see the silhouettes of the Outer Sect deacons. The Zhonglan sect had a strict hierarchy. From the lowest to the highest, they were Outer Sect Deacon Apprentice, Inner Sect Deacon Apprentice, Outer Sect Deacon, Inner Sect Deacon, Outer Sect Elder, and Inner Sect Elder. Outer Sect Deacon Apprentices were naturally at the Qi realm, Inner Sect Deacon Apprentices and Outer Sect Deacons were at the Origin realm, Inner Sect Deacon Apprentices and Outer Sect Deacons were at the Earth realm, and Inner Sect Elders were at the Heaven realm. Thousands of Outer Sect Deacons were equivalent to thousands of Origin realm martial artists. As long as there weren't any accidents, it would be hard for these Outer Sect disciples to die. Other than that, there were a few dozen Outer Sect Elders that entered the forest. Outer Sect Elders were at the Earth realm. Once they wanted to conceal themselves, even Origin realm martial artists wouldn't be able to detect them. Swish, 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 swish. In the gloomy forest, shadows were shuttling back and forth at different speeds. Li Fuchen was glad that he cultivated the Cyclone kick style. Even though this kick style wasn't very useful in battle, it was still very convenient for traveling. Stepping on a large tree branch, Li Fuchen glanced behind him. If his senses weren't wrong, there should be an Outer Sect Deacon following behind him. Outer Sect Deacons were at the Origin realm, and at the Origin realm, one could cultivate light body techniques. Body refinement techniques were at least peak tier, yellow class. Light body techniques were at least mystic class, loader. After cultivating light body techniques, one's body would be as light as a swallow and wouldn't make a sound while traveling. Had it not been for Li Fuchen's strong soul spirit and acute senses, he wouldn't have been able to detect the presence of an outer sect deacon. Did this kid discover me? On the big tree behind him, a 40-year-old outer sect deacon had a surprised expression. He cultivated the mystic class, low-tier light body technique, cloud goose technique. When he revolved his chi, there wouldn't be any sound of air being pierced. Of course, the prerequisite was that his speed couldn't be too fast. If it was too fast, there would be a sound of air being pierced. After all, his cloud goose technique wasn't at the completion stage yet. Only the completion stage of the cloud goose technique could allow one to move at extreme speeds without making any sound. With the cyclone kick style at the trance stage, Li Fuchen's speed was as fast as the wind. Like a shooting star, he overtook one outer sect disciple after another. All of a sudden, a blue pattern python as thick as a thigh struck at Li Fuchen. Class 1 high-tier demonic beast, blue pattern python. One of the fastest Class 1 high-tier demonic beasts. With a concealed weapon in his hand, the outer sect deacon behind Li Fuchen was ready to lend a hand at any moment. Actually, Li Fuchen had already seen the blue pattern python, but he was too lazy to change his route. Raising his right fist, Li Fuchen's fist struck the head of the blue-patterned python ruthlessly. Blood splattered as the blue-patterned python turned into a headless python. Such a fast strike speed and such a ferocious force. The outer sect deacon was in awe. Li Fuchen's strike speed wasn't inferior to a low-level origin realm martial artist, and his force was even more ferocious. It was easy to send the blue-patterned python flying with a single punch, but to burst the head of the blue pattern python with a single punch, this wasn't something anyone could do. Be it humans or demonic beasts, the skull was the toughest part of their body. This kid is terrifyingly strong. There is no point in following him. It is better to follow the weaker outer sect disciples. The outer sect deacon's duty was to protect the safety of the outer sect disciples. But Li Fuchen was too strong and didn't require his protection. After all, it was impossible for a Class 2 demonic beast to appear in the 100 Beasts forest. Is he gone? Li Fuchen raised an eyebrow. To be honest, he felt uncomfortable being followed. Bursting the blue pattern python's head with a single punch was mainly to test the waters. Welcome to Legends of Cultivation audiobooks, where we bring ancient fantasy to life through storytelling. Follow the rise of heroes who defy fate, unlock mystical powers, and battle across celestial realms. Our audiobooks are crafted for fans of Chinese cultivation novels, filled with battles, breakthroughs, and legendary artifacts. Subscribe and be part of an unforgettable journey into the realm of immortality.